that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
Epstein's back in the news.
Dude, Epstein is back. It's weird that Epstein was like all we could talk about for a while, and then just perfect example of America and our low memory here. But like Epstein just went away for a couple months. Like it was
Yeah.
at the back of everybody's mind. And then over the last 2 days, there's been, I think, like 20,000 emails released or something ridiculous like that. Um, have you, I'm guessing you've probably seen a select couple emails based off algorithm. Everybody's seeing, like, you are seeing the stuff that is mentioning Trump's name, even though it's not directly saying Trump did anything with a underage kid. It's just Trump's name. And
Sure.
people on the right are seeing stuff that's mentioning Reid Hoffman and Larry Summers and Bill Clinton's name. The only time I've seen it mentioned, I got to say this, the only time I've seen it mentioned was Epstein saying, huh, they're trying to say Bill Clinton went to the island. He never went to the island. So
I didn't know that.
good for Bill Clinton. But yeah, so actually real quick, this will be our first little picture of the night. And check this out real quick. I don't remember the website that did this.
Is that a sperm?
It's not a sperm. So it's almost like I don't know what to call this. I'm going to say it's like a word cloud, but it's not. But it shows the amount of times that people got mentioned in the emails on a timeline. These emails were between 2008 and 2019.
Okay.
The majority of the mentions on here were Trump's. Trump was mentioned 1,670 times in the emails. So I was wrong. I said 20,000 emails. There were 2,324 emails released. Trump's name was mentioned in 1,670, which, what is that? Would you say is that about 2/3? Yeah, it is. That's right about
Yeah.
2/3.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so he was that many times. Clinton was mentioned 512 times, and that was all back closer to 2008. Larry
But he said
Summers.
you said that Clinton wasn't on the island.
He did. These are just people that were mentioned in the emails. One of the times, this is funny. One of the times that Clinton's name was mentioned, and they didn't say Clinton specifically, but they're counting it. Somebody asked Epstein, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, "Hey, did you ever get that picture of Trump blowing Bubba?" And Bubba is known as the nickname for Bill Clinton. That was his nickname, I guess, for a long time. And now a lot of things that were in these emails, I think it's one of those where you can't catch the tone through a text message or an email. And
Sure.
I think that a lot of it was joking. Like that one where it's like, hey, do you got that picture of Trump blowing Bubba? I'll bet that was a ha ha moment. I don't think there's really a picture of Trump blowing Clinton.
Oh, I hope there is.
That would
I
be
sure hope there
that would be
is.
hysterical. But also, there was a time where they were like, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm hanging out with the Trumps." Or he says something like that. This is after Trump was already president, and Trump was during this time period. Trump was specifically denying having anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. So I'll bet that was in the news, and it was like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm hanging out with the Trumps." Ha ha ha! Like,
Uh,
I think there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. Also, for these guys were in their 50s, 60s, I guess, 60s at this time.
okay.
They send emails like 14-year-old girls send text message. They were all like incomplete sentences and like typos and like no grammar. It was very annoying, extremely annoying to try to read
Have you
these.
been reading these?
I've been reading a lot of them. And
Okay.
it's so, and the thing is though, the way they released them, a lot of them like just kind of, it's like a thread of what's been saying, and they just like pick up mid-thread. So we don't know what was said before this in the
Hmm.
thread, and we just see like a snippet. We see like 4 exchanges in this thread. Like I
Okay.
said, it's like watching 14-year-old girls text. Like I don't IDK, blah blah blah, like very annoying.
Who are these other people?
So interestingly, I'm gonna say that get this part of the way, but Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, and Bill Clinton, which Reid Hoffman wasn't mentioned in here nearly as much as the other guys. But those are those are the biggest three Democrat names, like prominent Democrat names that were in the emails. Trump has ordered an investigation of all of them. We're going to get to that later. Other than that, what was weird to me, so Epstein told Bannon in 2019, he said, "Oh, they're trying to bring down Trump. Everyone knows I'm the only one that can bring down Trump." And something about there were several emails where he was basically saying he has the goods on Trump. He's got the dirt. So he said in 2019 to Steve Bannon that he's the one that can bring down Trump. Like 2 months later, he got arrested, but
Yeah.
for the stuff. And like what, a month or two after that, he was dead in jail while under the supervision of Trump's Justice Department and Bill Barr. Like
Yeah.
that, nobody's making a
Didn't
big
Bill Barr go visit that prison like the day before?
like 2 days before or something like that. He went like
Oh,
that. I haven't seen the news make because that's if you start to make a big deal out of that, you're kind of saying that Trump had him killed, and I think that they're all trying to be very careful to not say that. Which
yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Allegedly.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's weird that Epstein was, first of all, Epstein was talking to a lot of people close to Trump. And I'm going to tell you about another one in a second. But he was communicating with Bannon all through the Kavanaugh. Remember when Justice Kavanaugh was getting confirmed? And that
Hmm.
lady, Christine Blasey Ford, had accused him of like raping or molesting her at some point in like when they were teenagers. He was advising them on like, hey, you should ask what medication she was on at the time and see if any of those caused memory loss
Bannon
or
was?
no. So Epstein was advising Bannon, who was then supposedly passing that information along to Lindsey
Uh,
Graham or whoever. Remember, Lindsey Graham had like a moment where he got pissed and started yelling during that hearing.
yeah.
So he was advising them about what line of attack Kavanaugh should take in the hearings. Also, like I said,
So
Bannon was
Bannon and Epstein were buddies.
so Bannon was the chief of staff for the first like year of Trump's first term, and he was trading emails with Trump or with Epstein left and right during that time when he's the right hand man of the president. And then also there was a guy named Tom Barrack. I think it's pronounced Barrack. It might be Tom Barack, but I think it's Barrack. And as soon as I heard his name, I was like, I know that name. How do I know that name? He was the senior advisor to Trump's 2016 campaign. He was the chairman of the inaugural committee. He then had a role in the White House as an advisor. I'm not exactly sure what his role was during the first term. And then this time when Trump got elected, Trump named him the ambassador to Turkey. So him and Trump are longtime friends. So the whole first 3 years of Trump's first term, 2017, 18, and 19, he was emailing back and forth with Tom Barrack and Steve Bannon. It seems like quite a bit, and
Wow.
both of them were right there with Trump in the White House. So that's just weird. I maybe they knew him and Trump didn't get along, so they were like doing it but not telling Trump, or maybe everybody knows that Trump doesn't send emails. He's never sent emails. He has other people, so I don't know.
Sure.
Just weird is all I'm going to say. Like the fact that he was so close with people right next to Trump during his first term, little odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, I thought Bannon like separated himself from
so Bannon was the
Epstein
chiefest.
too.
Bannon was the chief of staff for like the first, I'm going to say 8 months to a year, somewhere in that period, and then Trump got rid of him. If you remember, SNL was mocking him, and SNL had Bannon as the Grim Reaper, and he would sit at the Resolute desk, and then Trump would be like, "Is it okay if I go to my desk and play?" And Trump had like a little kid desk beside the Resolute desk with like crayons and stuff, and that was the running joke was that Bannon's really in charge. Like he's the
Yeah.
one doing all this and Trump's just for show pretty much. So Trump
Huh.
got mad about that and Trump ended up firing Bannon. A lot of people think it's because everybody was saying Bannon's the one really running the show and Trump doesn't like that. So that's why he
Makes
fired
sense.
him. And then they did have a bit of a falling out like after that. But like I said, the whole time he was the chief of staff, he appears to have been emailing with Trump. I got to say this real quick. It's bothering me. A lot of Republicans, their main attack or response to this is to say, well, the Democrats had this for 4 years and they didn't release anything. Why didn't they release this? That's a good line, and they should keep saying it. But I want to point this out to anybody listening. They prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell. I think she ended up getting found guilty in 2022. I'm not 100% sure on that, but somewhere in the middle of the Biden term. So while they're prosecuting her, they're not going to release any of this. That's standard
Sure.
prosecutorial. You're not doing it. And then after that, she went through the appeals process and she was appealing all the way through into Trump's term. Like she finally got to the Supreme Court. If you remember back like 3 months into Trump's term, she finally got her request all the way to the Supreme Court, and she was trying to say that the 2008 sweetheart plea deal that Epstein got applied to
Hmm.
all unindicted co-conspirators.
That's right.
Therefore, and that was just in like I'm gonna say March, April of this year. That was during Trump's term, and that was her final. Like when they said no, that's the end. Like you can't go any higher than the Supreme Court. She made it all the way to them. They said no. At that point, case closed. She can't appeal anymore. Things can be released. they would have been dumb to release anything while she was still going through the appeals process. Is all I'm going to say. So I get why Republicans are saying that, and most people just walking around don't realize the whole appeal process for Ghislaine. But I'm just saying that real quick. That's why
Sure.
they
Yeah,
now.
makes sense.
I don't think they had. I don't think they wanted to release it, and I think that it was a convenient thing that up she's in an appeals process. We can't release this. So
Okay.
anyhow, crazy stuff.
I mean, are they just protecting Clinton? Is that kind of what they're doing?
I don't think any Republican has any desire to protect Clinton. I think the bigger thing. So Reid Hoffman, one of the people that was in the emails, his name's not on this list, but I know he was in there. He also, I know his name just because, like, anytime somebody goes on Rogan and talks about Epstein, they always bring up the name Reid Hoffman. And it turns out he's a big donor to the Democrats. He's not quite like George Soros or Warren Buffett, but he's in that category where he's given a little bit of money to everybody. And he's a good boogeyman to attach. If you're on the right, you would love to attach him to Epstein because he's a money man for the left.
Okay.
He came out tonight. Well, we get to all that in a second, but he came out tonight very much defending himself on this.
Was Elon in this list at all?
Elon is not on this list, which Elon was on a calendar where it said like Elon to the island question mark. And Elon is saying he never went. He said there was talk that he might go visit, but he never did. We do know Peter Thiel.
So hold on.
Yeah,
If you're Elon Musk and somebody's inviting you to their island, Jeffrey Epstein, and you know what Jeffrey Epstein's all about,
I
I
don't know.
might go to his island. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe it's one of those. Has anybody ever asked you to do something you know right away you don't want to do it, but you don't want to be a dick? So you're like, I don't know. Let me check my calendar. I'll see. I'll get back to you and let you know. We've all
Okay.
done that.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
Elon just didn't want to burn the bridge, but he also right away was like, I got to find an excuse for this. So he was like, yeah, pencil it in and I'll see and I'll confirm with you later. And then he maybe got back to him later and said, oh, nope, turns out that day doesn't work for me. Sorry.
It's
That's
still
very,
creepy that they know Jeffrey Epstein.
dude,
Like if
that's
like
the main thing we learned from all these emails. To me, the biggest thing we learned is like, I get it now how he stayed out of jail for so long. He was so connected. He had reporters at the New York Times tipping him off that other reporters were snooping around on him. Um,
oh,
he was he advised the Russian government on how to deal with Trump. Like he was there was also a lot of stuff with Israel that the mainstream media is just ignoring that part, completely ignoring that part. He was doing wire transfers with what's his name's like Ehud Barak or whatever. He was the prime minister of Israel before Netanyahu. He was doing wire transfers with him, which is odd. Why were they exchanging money? Who knows? The
hmm,
leader of Israel, I don't know. Um,
interesting.
yeah,
But isn't there like billions of dollars that Trump transferred to him too?
to Epstein.
Yeah.
I don't know if we know that. It might be a rumor. I don't think we have evidence of that. I have. If we did know that, I think I'd know that. I think I would be
So
hearing that.
I think what it was there was numerous transfers out of Trump's and numerous transfers into Epstein's, but there's not like a connection to them.
Yeah.
But the numbers kind of match up.
If they
And it was
if
like
they
an offshore account and like all this kind of crazy shit.
if they can get the proof on that, then I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it. But like, there's a lot of stuff that sometimes looks like, oh, this might be a connection, and then it doesn't turn out to be. So
Sure.
I'm at the
Well,
level.
Trump
Nope.
is connected to Epstein 110%,
So
no matter what.
these emails, I'll say this, these emails kind of back up Trump's story on the falling out that they had. Because in one of the emails, I guess Trump, it seems like what everybody's guessing is Trump had said on the news or to a reporter, Trump had said, I know nothing about Jeffrey, blah, blah, blah. I had no clue that he was doing that with the girls because Epstein emailed somebody and he was like, oh, of course he knew about the girls. He told Ghislaine to stop. He obviously knew about them. So he backed up the whole Trump told it. Now, Trump, as he said it earlier this year, he wasn't mad about the pedophilia stuff. He was mad that they were poaching his work. So,
Yeah.
but that does back up that at one point Trump told Ghislaine to stop taking girls from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
like I said, he wants you to believe that's because he knew about the pedophilia and he was trying to protect them.
Hmm.
I'm more inclined to believe like it's hard to hire good help. And like
Yeah.
Epstein kept stealing good help and he was upset about that. I don't think he gave a crap what was going on with it. That's just my opinion.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
yeah. Um, The discharge petition is at 218 and they're supposed to vote on it tomorrow, okay? There's almost one if that goes through the House and goes through the Senate, then Trump either has to sign it or veto it. And people think it would be very bad for him if he vetoed it because there's a lot of people, especially on the right, that want the Epstein files released.
Do
So,
you know how crazy it is that only they like 218 is the line,
mm.
and
so,
all these other people are saying, no, we're not gonna sign
so
that. We don't really care.
it looks like there's going to be mass defections when the vote happens. It seems like there's going to be well over 218 that sign it. A lot of them so badly didn't want this to come to a vote. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's Tim Burchett. He's a Southern congressman. I don't from some like red Southern state like Alabama or Mississippi. I can't remember what state he's from. Maybe Georgia. Anyhow, he on the night they reopened the government, he tried to pull a fast one. He entered in basically it's called unanimous consent, and basically if nobody objects, let's just pass the Epstein files release right now. That way, nobody has to go on record as voting yes or no. And at first, they said, "Hey, they said it's procedural. You can't do this." Both party heads would have to agree to let you do this. And then he tried to run it through that way, and the Democrats said, "No, no, 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 no. This is going to a vote. You need to be
Oh,
on record." And he, right afterward, he came out and he was doing the whole walk and talk selfie videos. And he was like, the Democrats obviously don't want this released. I just offered to release it tonight on unanimous consent, and they blocked it. And they did. They 100% did because
because they want people on record.
there were a lot of dummies on the left that were coming out and they were like, "No, he's lying." And it's like, he's not. He's being honest. He did offer it for that. The Democrats blocked it, but the Democrats want you to have to say yes or no to this. That's their
Yeah,
whole thing. Is go on
yeah,
because a lot of them, if they did it as unanimous consent, then they could with a straight face say to Trump like, "I didn't want it released, but this is what happened, but I wouldn't have voted for it." No,
but
they
if it was unanimous consent in the House, then it would be like a real kind of a force for the Senate to sign the bill. And then also, like, if it's
yeah.
unanimous consent in both the House and the Senate and Trump vetoes it, it's like, whoa.
The Democrats want this to cause a rift between Trump and Republican congressmen because they're
Mm,
in a weird position now where if they say no to releasing it, people in their district, depending on where they're at, are going to be mad at them. They might get challenged in they might get primaried.
yep.
But if they say yes to it, they're going to deal with Trump getting all upset. This is proving to be the case with two congressmen in particular. Did you see what he said today about Thomas Massie and MTG?
No.
All right, check this out real quick.
Did Thomas Massie sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr. because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas. And question mark. His wife will soon find out that he's stuck with a loser.
So the part about
What the fuck?
the part about did he get married again already? Like for anybody who doesn't know, his wife died about a year ago. Probably not something you should be like ribbing him for, I guess. But yeah, his wife died, I think, a little over a year ago, and he just got remarried.
Okay.
So Trump's poking at that, calling him a loser, calls him Rand Paul Jr. He obviously hates him and Rand Paul. So he did that. I have not seen Massie say anything back on that tonight, but Massie and Ro Khanna, who's a Democrat, are pretty much the two that started this whole discharge petition. So Trump is very mad at him that this is now probably going to pass by a lot. Shortly after that, he had a little tweet for Marge. This is really long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it starts off with, "I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. Over the past few weeks, despite creating record achievements for our country, including," and then he lists, the border, the victory on the shutdown, no women, no transgenders in sports. He lists quite a bit of stuff here. I'm not going to read through. Stopping 8 wars was one of them. Trillions of
He
dollars
didn't
of
stop eight
investment.
wars. Stop
I
saying that.
know.
Stop saying that.
Anyhow, all the stuff he did, and then he says, "All I see wacky Marge do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance, unless, of course, she had my endorsement." He goes on here. He says that she's mad that he has not been answering or returning her calls. Um, he said she has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So he is unendorsing Marge, which that would lead you to believe he's going to endorse a primary challenger. They're going to try to primary her, is what it looks like.
Okay.
She shot back tonight. I didn't pull it, but she basically said that Trump is lying, that she has not been calling him. She has sent him 2 texts recently, and she put screenshots of those texts up there. And she was basically encouraging him full transparency on the Epstein files. All the women that have been interviewed have said that you did not do anything wrong. Can't remember what else she said in it, but basically she was saying like, this is what the people want, is full transparency. Like, you didn't do anything wrong, you should give them full transparency. What I gotta say, this is so bad for him. He looks so guilty in not releasing them. So like, there's gotta be some, like, he's calculated that even though this looks bad, this is better than it would look if he
Release them,
released them. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
which
at.
is insane, and I don't understand how like the Republicans can actually stand beside him at this point.
Uh,
Like Mike Johnson or what's her name? Levitt,
Carolyn
Pam
Levitt,
Bondi.
yeah, Pam
How?
Bondi's Pam Bondi's as bad as him. So, well, since you brought up Pam Bondi, today Trump tweeted out, and let me pull this up. So Trump's first tweet is in white at the bottom. Now that Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats and not Republicans to try to deflect from their disastrous shutdown. First of all, real quick, if it's a hoax, why would they make all the evidence look bad on Democrats and not Republicans? That doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
said, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots of the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, and JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them. And then he says this is another Russia, Russia, Russia. Um, Basically, he wants those specific people indicted. Now, I showed you that little word cloud thing earlier. They were mentioned a whole lot less than Trump. And Trump, or he specifically said that Bill Clinton did not go to the island. That was pretty much the one mention. And then he also said that Trump blew Bill Clinton, which is funny. But Pam Bondi responds to this within an hour and says, thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity, deliver the answers to the American, and it went on from there. Anyhow, with the whole, remember when Trump he truthed and everybody thought it was supposed to be a direct message, but he did it as like just a straight truth.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, Pam, like, why haven't you gone after these people? And he specifically listed Letitia James, Comey, and somebody, and I can't remember who the other one was. It was God, the crazy Republican guy that was in his first administration and is like a straight warmonger. I can't remember John Bolton. There we go. John Bolton.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyhow, they have been doing everything to deny. Like, she got asked in front of Congress. It was like, hey, did the president direct you to make these prosecutions? And she was like, nope, these are all independent. And then even the judge in one of the cases was like, hey, it looks like the president directed you to do this. And they were like, nope, the president did not direct us. And then here, the president flat out says, where is it at? I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then she says, "Thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the case." Like,
that's complete. Yeah.
So any of these people that they happen to try to charge, every lawyer that I've seen tonight has already said, like, this is a slam dunk. It's called vindictive prosecution, and anything they try to charge with will get thrown out instantly. Here's the key thing. It doesn't matter if it gets thrown out or not. You know how long this investigation is going to take?
How long?
Years. I guarantee you, years. And guess what? Remember how I said earlier that while Ghislaine was during her appeals process, you won't release information at that point because there's an ongoing case? We're now under investigation. We can't release the files. This is an active investigation. He hasn't said this yet. I'm telling you right now. That's why they did this.
Oh no!
It doesn't matter what happens with the discharge petition. It could go all the way through the House, the Senate, and Trump will sign it and say, "Yeah, as soon as the investigation's over, I'll release it." I can't release it during an investigation.
Dude.
He just blocked the files from getting released without having to veto it.
Okay. Interesting.
It's smart. It's a tactically smart move by him. He didn't come up with it.
Yeah.
Somebody told him to do this. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now,
Oh.
that's the end of us getting to see the Epstein files. For now, for the rest of his administration.
Okay. Okay. So this is all for nothing. We're just talking about this for nothing now.
Yes, this has all been a buildup to tell you that they're still going to vote on it in the House. It will probably have. If I had a guess right now, they're going to vote on it in the House and it's going to pass. And then John Thune in the Senate is going to say there's no need for us to even put this on the floor for a vote, as there is an active investigation. Once the investigation's over, then we'll take a look again at releasing the stuff.
But the president can't tell the attorney general to have an investigation on something.
Okay, who's going to do anything about that?
I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
And that right there, the president can't. That is just a long-standing norm. That's not.
Are you ready to say the F word?
You can say it if you want.
Fascist? Are you ready to say it?
Oh, I mean, this is sneaky. This move in particular, I wouldn't say is fascist. This is clever.
But he's already disobeyed several courts.
He has, and it hasn't gotten to the point where they've tried to lock him up for it. But he definitely is. He's slow walking what a lot of courts.
Nobody's locking him up. Nobody's going to try to lock him up.
And that's the thing here. Like, so.
But that's the thing with fascism, is he disobeys the courts and they don't try and lock him up, which in turn becomes fascism.
At this point,
fascism.
We already knew that if Democrats take back the House, like there's going to be hearings galore. Like all these people are going to be pulled in front, and they're going to not answer, and they're going to be defiant and all that. But like of all the things that have happened so far, of all like this Epstein stuff is going to be the first hearings. I guarantee you. Like it's. This right here with him directing Pam Bondi to, and like I said, if you read through those emails, there were a lot of people mentioned, left and right. Hey, this guy was connected to everyone. And for some reason, Trump he's ordered her to directly start an investigation on three people and one entity. And the bank one is interesting. It does appear there's some shady stuff with basically why was JP Morgan Chase still doing business with him and giving him loans and all this after he was already a convicted sex offender in 2008. That's the argument you can make. I have no problem with investigating that at all. And also, if any of these other people, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, and Bill Clinton, if there's some provable evidence that any of them did anything with a kid, awesome. Investigate them, prosecute them. I'm all for it. But also get the Republicans. Like there seems to be a lot of Republicans on this list. Why aren't we talking about investigating them at all?
Yeah. I think Trump, if the Epstein files get released, Trump is completely effed. Because I mean, why would he go to these links to secure the Epstein files and not let them be released? I mean, Kash Patel, what's his name? The Department of War guy, that dipshit. Hegseth.
Yeah.
Who else? And probably a few others in the department actually said we need to release the Epstein files.
Oh, everybody around Trump was saying. JD Vance, Chris Cuomo on News Nation did a hypercut of all the different people around Trump that were calling for the release of the files before he got sworn in. And then the second he got sworn in, they all kind of changed their tune. Anyhow, yeah.
He's going to get away with this until he dies.
So here's
then he's going to die, and then it's going to be released, and nobody's going to have justice on Trump.
There's been a couple times. Here's my theory here. There's been a couple times where Trump gets accused of doing something ridiculous, and the right's like, no, he definitely didn't do it. But then at some point, they start to change, and they're like, well, if he did it, he had the right to do it because blah blah blah. And they kind of start to set the stage for it and get their audience prepared to hear that maybe he did do it by saying it's not that big a deal, even if he did.
Right.
That's happening right now in a really weird way, and I have a little bit of evidence to show you here. Okay.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse material on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
15 is not barely legal.
Man, like I had to play that clip for my wife because I was like, am I overreacting here? Like it's not like they were 8. I mean, these women were over 14. Like that was the specific line she drew. She said he never heard anybody under 14 say this stuff. It was always 14 and older. Like
14.
That's weird. The lady that was with her in that clip is her name is Batya Unger Sargon or something. And I had never seen her before in my life until like 6 months ago. And now I can't stop seeing her. She has a show on News Nation on the weekends. She's on every podcast and show you can find. She claims that she used to be she's a Democrat for Trump, basically. She's like, I'm a Democrat and I'm still a Democrat, but Donald Trump is doing great things for manufacturing and this and that. She's also, I don't know if you noticed the necklace she had on there, but she is very pro-Zionist, and it seems like...
Is she Jewish?
Yes. And it seems like that's more of why she's a Donald Trump fan, is the anti-Semitism on the left on college campuses during the election, I think, is what moved her over, I think. But anyhow, she drives me nuts. At one point, Megyn Kelly tries to say, like, well, I know it's a distinction without a difference. And Batya is like, no, it's not. And then Megyn gets like some encouragement at that point. She's like, yeah, I mean, it's not like these girls were under 14. And so it's like they're prepping us for like, okay, some stuff's going to come out, but just keep in mind they were all over 14, so it's not like they were 8. Like that's what I took out of what she was just saying. I feel like she's prepping people to be ready for that. I thought that's what I was seeing, and then this was, I think, tonight on News Nation. Check out one more clip along these same lines. This is Alan Dershowitz. Before you play this, Alan Dershowitz got named by, I think, Virginia Giuffre or whatever her name is. It might have been one of the other ones. And he immediately went on Fox and he was like, I did get a massage, but I kept my underwear on the whole time. Or he said something like that. And it was like, whoa, like, okay.
You know, I'm also glad that Megyn Kelly said that she couldn't trust
dude, Cash and Bondi and like everybody around Trump right now is getting killed. And there's so many people. I follow a lot of right-wing accounts and they are really mad right now, but they're not mad at Trump. They're mad at the people around him. He's being given bad advice is what they're saying. It's never Trump's fault. He's being
That's
given
what
bad
they
advice.
said last time too.
Yep, that's still happening. So
is he going to start firing people soon?
I don't think so, because he thinks once he gives into the mob and fires the first person, then that makes them hungrier and more aggressive to keep going. So his thing is you'd never make that first fire. But
because at this point in his term last year, he had fired like 10 people already.
Yeah, he's not doing it this time. But real quick, watch Alan Dershowitz here, and then also Alan Dershowitz was Trump's lawyer during one of the impeachments. So check this clip out from News Nation.
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile.
He's the guy who kept his underwear on?
Yeah, he kept his underwear on the whole time he got a massage.
Bullshit. And who massaged him? I want to know who massaged him. I want to know how old she was. Who massaged him?
I think it was Virginia Giuffre that accused him. And anyhow,
But she was
Right, but
underage.
she was underage. Yeah, she was the one. She just committed suicide recently, and she was like the first one to really come out and put her name on record and claim all this happened. She's also the one that they stole from Mar-a-Lago. She was working at Mar-a-Lago. Now, she said several times that she never had any bad experiences with Trump, and he was always very like she said she always saw him at Mar-a-Lago while she was working, and he was always very professional. But at one point, Ghislaine convinced her to come to work for Jeffrey and said, "Hey, we want to teach you to be a massage therapist. We'll teach you everything you need to know so you can have a career doing that." And then, like, the first time she got there, it was like, "All right, there's naked Jeffrey on a table. Go to work." And yeah, so and then she claims she got she's also the one that there's a picture of her with Prince Andrew, who just lost all of his royal titles over that. But so it's confirmed, like she was being trafficked around underage.
So she was Jeffrey Epstein. What do they call it? The main something?
So I think she was just the one that spoke up. Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
other
but if
girls.
she's being passed around and she's Jeffrey Epstein's personal masseuse and she's giving Alan Dershowitz a massage, she's like his main, like I think in the
Yeah,
pimp world they have a
it's called being a bottom bitch.
bottom bitch.
Yeah, but
A bottom bitch?
that's my bottom bitch. That's my main girl right there.
Okay. So
But
she's a bottom bitch.
she was not. I'm just telling you. Like he had like a system where he would keep them for a year or so, and then once this is somebody was saying this today, and it made a lot of sense based off all the evidence we have. But he would basically groom them from like the age of like 15 through 18, and then when they turned 18 is when he'd start like pimping them out to his friends. But it seems like there's a very good chance that was the case of what was
He's
happening.
like he's like, you're too old for me.
Pretty much. Like once they turned 18, he'd
God.
release them to his friends and he would bring in a new young girl, is what it seems like. But
Uh,
on that initial complaint where he got the sweetheart deal, there was I want to say 10 plus girls on that complaint, and she was one of the 10. The other girls just chose they did not want to be in the spotlight. They knew that they'd get attacked and this and that. So they've all been off the record ever since then. Virginia's the one who was like, no, I'm gonna put my name behind this and I'm gonna try to get justice. So anyhow.
you think she really killed herself? Or do you think she Jeffrey Epstein herself?
She, towards the end, seemed to be having some major mental issues. So, yeah, it's not unbelievable to me that she killed herself. So, but she also was in this, she was living in a world where she was like, I can't believe nobody believes me. Like, I have all this evidence and like nothing's happening to these rich, powerful people. She was probably going nuts from that, honestly. That's what it seemed
Yeah.
like to me.
Yeah,
Um,
I would go nuts for that too.
yeah. So,
I am going nuts from that.
all I'm going to say is from what I'm seeing, and also, real quick, Megyn Kelly and Alan Dershowitz are correct technically. A pedophile is someone who likes a prepubescent child.
Okay.
If they're over puberty but under 18, there's a totally different word for that. It starts with EU. You remember the movie Zoolander?
Uh-huh.
At one point, he's trying to say eulogy and he can't say it, and he's like, "You googly" or something like that.
Yeah.
I you googleized him or something like whatever. When I try to say this word, I can't. It's embarrassing. I'm not going to try to say it. Just take my word. There's a word that starts with EU something, and I can't pronounce. And I even found clips of people saying it so that I could try to repeat it back, and I can't say it. It's not within my realm of possibility.
I'll look it up. Doing of age? I don't know. Let's see. Chapter 3. Sex Office of Justice Programs, sex offender typologies. Oh, pedophile, hebephilia, and DSMV.
No, it starts with EU.
Oh,
Hold on.
Jesus. This is a long.
AI is trying. Okay, here. I'm trying to think how I can send this to you.
Why don't you spell it for me?
Type it out so you can read it phonetically.
Okay.
EPHEBOPH
Okay. Oh,
No.
oh. Ephebophilia?
Yeah, that.
Ephebophilia is the primary sexual interest in mid to late adolescence, generally ages 15 and 19. It shows Tanner stages 4 to 5 of physical development. The term was originally used in the late 19. Okay.
So
Ephebophilia.
ephebophilia.
Ugh.
Yeah. Anyhow, so it appears though that is what he was an ephebophiliast. I hate trying to say that. So like technically they're right, but like what are we doing here? Why are we trying to? And she said at one point she was like, it's not like these girls were 8 or something. They were like we're
15.
we're moving to a point now where like we're not there yet, but we're almost blaming the victims. We're victim shaming. Like these girls, if these girls were 16 or 17, they knew what they were doing. They chose to like that's where this is headed. Also, on a completely different note, Matt Gaetz. Remember Matt Gaetz? He used to be a congressman and now he's a host on OAN.
Uh-huh.
Trump had originally picked him to be his attorney general, and everybody thought that was weird because Matt Gaetz was accused of having sex with underage girls for money, and that's why that was the only person that Trump was wanted to put in a position, and he backed off of. The Senate apparently went to him and said, "Dude, there was a report in the House that listed
All right.
what he did." Okay. Also, while we're talking about that. That should have gone public. They normally do. And Speaker Mike Johnson basically made it to where that report did not come out publicly. And if we're talking about protecting pedophiles or whatever, like
Ephebophilis.
Mike Johnson's protecting one right now because that report could have come out. Now, what we found out in the last day or two, and nobody's challenged this yet, so it appears a couple of people from Congress have actually kind of corroborated the story and said, yeah, this is what we found out in our report. But the girl that they know for sure that he paid for sex was 17 years old, homeless, worked at McDonald's, and was trying to save up money to get braces. And that's the girl that's like evil. Like, and he comes from a wealthy family. I'm just gonna say this. He comes from money. If he wanted a prostitute, lady of the night, whatever you want to call it, like he could have gotten one that was of age and spent a little
Sure.
money. But instead, he found a homeless 17-year-old working at McDonald's that was trying to. She says she did it because she needed the money for braces.
And didn't he traffic her across state lines?
Yeah, supposedly. And hooked her up with who I can't remember the other guy's name, but some guy that's like a local Florida a guy that's in politics. It's about his age.
Oh,
And
he hooked her. He was trying to do a Jeffrey Epstein.
so that guy is who like flipped on Matt Gaetz in like the whole House report. Like that guy told everything.
My
Also,
God.
they had Venmo payments where he was paying them $300 a time for every time they would come out. So anyhow, like, but based off what Megyn Kelly and Alan Dershowitz just said, she's 17. Like she knows what she's doing. She can make her own decisions. That's what they're trying to say. And Matt Gaetz still has a show on OAN even after that came out. I keep waiting to see that OAN's released. No, they're just gonna.
Aren't there states where like 17 is legal age?
There's not states in the U.S., but there are countries. There is. I was looking at tonight. There's a couple countries where the age of consent is like 15 and 16.
The states where 17 is the age of consent are Colorado, Illinois. What?
That I know so in these states, 17 is the age of consent, but there has to be a 4-year age gap. So if 17 and 21 is okay, but 17 and 22 is not okay. Texas is one of those states.
Isn't there one where it's like 15?
I don't think there's any states in the U.S. Now, Missouri recently was trying to lower the age of consent to like 14 or something like that. And what was funny is there was this old Republican lawmaker, and he was like, you know what? My grandparents were married for 70 years, and they had the happiest marriage I ever saw. And my grandma was 12 when she married him, and everything turned out fine. And it's like, dude, like your 12-year-old grandma married your 18-year-old grandpa, and you're cool. Like that's we. I have an 11-year-old daughter. I'm just telling you, like 12, like
Yeah.
12
and 21 is pretty.
Luckily, Missouri did not pass that, and it's
12
still
and
at 18. So, but they were trying to make it 14, I think.
Actually, as of August 2018, each U.S. state has set its age of consent at either 16, 17, or 18. So that means there's still 16.
Like I said, I from what I've seen, the ones where 16 is the age, it's got to be a 4-year age gap. There's some rules around it. You can't be 40 and 16.
The age of consent is 16 in Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Kentucky, Georgia, Hawaii, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina.
Let me see
And
here.
it says dot, dot, dot. So maybe more. 30 states. 30 states with an age of consent of 16.
That's scary.
What the
Was
fuck?
Oklahoma on that list?
South Dakota, Vermont, Washington, and Virginia.
I feel like Oklahoma would definitely be on that list.
I mean,
So
literally, like,
so
what's the difference between a 17 and an 18-year-old?
Alabama
There's not a ton, like,
no, but Alabama has something called the Romeo and Juliet laws, and this is really weird. So in Alabama, a 16-year-old can have sex with a 12-year-old, is what I'm seeing.
what?
Hold on. There's all these. The defendant was 16 years old and older, at least 2 years older than the victim. So if you're 16, you have to be within 2 years of the person. If it's less than 16 and more than 12, okay, this is really complicated. There's a formula for
There's a
what
lot of
ages work.
complications, yes.
So, but it's not just straight. I think from what I'm reading, it's not just straight like a 40-year-old could be with a 16. I think from what I'm reading, these are called the Romeo and Juliet laws, and it gives different examples. And it's like there has to be an age gap of a certain amount for it to still be okay. This is long. Sorry, this is a
Jesus
PDF.
Christ, man.
Yeah.
What
All right. I'm not going to try to read this now. I might read this
But
later.
fucking
just 'cause I'm
Jeffrey Epstein
curious.
was 50 years old or whatever,
Yeah.
dating 12-year-olds, so or dating 15-year-olds.
Yeah. And as Megyn Kelly said, he liked 15-year-olds that could look younger than 15, but could also pass for legal. So that's weird.
I mean, you've seen that photo floating around with like Trump and Epstein sitting on a couch, and there's like a bunch of really young girls surrounding him. Both
So
of them.
the one picture that I can think of when you say that, it's Ivanka on his lap. There's one that drives me nuts because Ivanka had like a nose job and some work done on her face.
Sure.
Ivanka at like 13 didn't look like Ivanka now. You can kind of see it, but it's a little different. And
Yeah.
there's a picture that pops up every now and then by Democrats, and it's like, oh, look at this Trump with a younger, and it's his daughter on his lap. Now there might be other pictures, but the
I
one
think
that
I think I showed you this photo and you said it was AI, but
well, I'm gonna bet it probably is.
okay. So is this Ivanka on Jeffrey Epstein's lap
Let me see it.
with Trump's hand on her lap? Let's see. So the one, I mean, there's several, right? I think this is Ivanka.
I can't tell. That might be Ivanka. Where's the one with her
Mm.
sitting on Epstein's lap that you said?
This one's Ivanka for sure,
That
right?
one's definitely Ivanka.
Oh wait, no, hold on. This one's a Donald
So
and Ivanka.
that girl on the
Katie
right,
John.
that girl on the right's the girl, Katie Johnson, that she originally said that both Trump and Epstein did things with her, but then
Was
she
13.
she dropped all the charges because death threats to her family. That's the story. She's gone into hiding. I'd love to find her right now. The theory is that she got a huge payday and signed an NDA to make it all go away.
Oh
I don't know
God.
if that's true. Where's the one with there? I show that right in the middle there with no, not to the left of that. Go back.
Go back.
Yeah, go back. The one that was in the middle and the top with the girl sitting on Epstein's lap.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
It says 13-year-old. Hey, MAGA, this is what Barbie Bondi is protecting. Da, da, da. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that is photoshopped or yeah,
I mean, Epstein's got his shirt off, but so does this guy in the background.
yeah, that's photoshopped as hell.
But is it? Is it?
I believe it
There's
is.
quite a few of them, and it kind of looks real. But what about this one?
That's definitely photoshopped.
That one's photoshopped?
Yeah, I'll bet money. Is there a link to a story with that or anything?
No, I don't see one. I mean, there's so many. There's so many.
That one might be real, but there's nothing wrong. Some girl sat down beside Trump to get her picture taken. He's been famous his whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, that would do. If that's real, that doesn't do anything.
Okay. I mean, there's just
I
so many
believe
pictures of.
the one on the airplane I've seen before, and that one is photoshopped. I've seen
Oh,
a
wait.
fact check on that.
That's Ivanka, right?
Let me see here. Yeah, that looks like Ivanka.
That's Ivanka. Who's this?
I have no clue who that is.
Ivanka?
That
That's
might be
Ivanka.
Ivanka. I don't know who she's with. That might be Marla Maples. I
I
don't
think
know.
that's two shots. Yeah. Two different photos. That's Ivanka. That's Ivanka. Yeah, that's Ivanka. Okay. So those are Ivanka. She got a nose job. Ivanka, Ivanka, Ivanka.
Yeah, like I said, the couple pictures I've seen where I'm like, oh wow, that looks bad. I always fact check it, and it turns out that it's totally photoshopped.
What's Trump's niece's name?
Oh, Kai Trump,
Kai.
Kai. She played in a LPGA event this weekend and finished dead last.
Dead last?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't follow the women's golf league, but apparently, according to people that do, like she has no business being on tour, but they let her on because she's
Yeah.
Trump's granddaughter, and then she got smoked.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
let's
man.
get off of this.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so
Ugh.
that's what's going on with Epstein. Like I said, it's all for naught because I guarantee you, in the next couple of days, they're going to come out and say that they can't release anything because of the fact that they've now opened investigations. Which again, Pam Bondi in May and Kash Patel both came out in front of Congress and said that the case is closed. They had no evidence that anybody did anything wrong. They had no evidence that there was a pedophile ring. Case closed, nothing to see here. And now suddenly today, because of Trump, they are reopening the investigation. So take that for what you will. In other inspiring news, the president's health. Remember it was a couple weeks ago, Trump had his checkup, and then we found out that he had advanced imaging done. And it was
Yep.
kind of confusing because it's like, whoa. Like, they don't do MRIs at just standard physicals. Like, they have to see something to make them want to investigate it further. We normally know the president's health. Like, normally when the president goes to thank you, when the president goes to the doctor, they release like stats, like his cholesterol is this, his blood pressure is this. Like, we don't get that with Trump at all. They just say that he's the most healthy president ever in the history of the world.
Yeah.
They asked Carolyn Levitt a couple weeks ago what was the MRI for, and she played dumb. She said, I have no idea, but I'll certainly look into that and I'll get back to you. They followed up on her a week later. It was I think earlier this week, and they said, Caroline, you told us a week ago that you would figure out what was going on with the MRI, and I was shocked. I was watching it live, and she was like, "Oh, I'm glad you asked because yes, I do have something on that." And I froze, and I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna tell us? Like, I can't believe they're gonna tell us."
No.
Watch Carolyn Levitt's answer real quick.
Oh, no.
One more. You recently said you checked with President Trump about why he needs to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
There's such a special place in hell for her.
She got out of there in a hurry. She got that question and she rapped. Now, she said, "Oh, yes, I actually have more." She started to open up her binder like she was going to tell us something. And then she just said, "Yes, he got an MRI and everything was fantastic and he's in great physical health and I got to go. See you later." So at that point, I was like, we're never going to know what was in the MRI. Like, I felt sure about it. Trump is flying down to Mar-a-Lago this weekend, so he's on a plane tonight. And of course, we have those. He likes to do interviews where he's got a whole pool of reporters in front of him, and then he's going to like basically pick and choose who he wants to listen or who he wants to take a question from. And then if he doesn't like the answer, he'll just be like, "You're stupid. Next question," and move on. And he likes to do it in a noisy environment, so the planes are perfect for him. They asked him about his MRI. I can't wait for you to hear his answer.
Oh, God.
Mr. President, could you tell us why you needed to get an MRI? I understand that the results were good, but what was it for?
Because it's part of my physical. Getting an MRI is very standard. Well, you think I shouldn't have it? Other people get it.
Typically, an MRI
I had an
is some
MRI.
specific part of your body.
Here's what the story is. I had an MRI. The doctor said it was the best result he has ever seen as a doctor. That's it. But I had an MRI as part of my standard yearly, or I think they do it every 2 years, but I have the physical every year. And the result was outstanding.
Was it your brain?
Did you
or
know?
your heart, or-
I have no idea what they analyzed, but whatever they analyzed it well, and they said that I had as good a result as they've ever seen. Now, the other thing I took, as you know, a very advanced test on mental acuity, because I think a president should have to do that. And as you probably heard, I aced it. I got a perfect score. I got the highest score. I got a perfect score. And the only reason I tell you that is it's one subject, unlike Biden and others, that you can take off your plane.
All right. So there's a lot there.
You literally can't trust a goddamn word any of these fucking people say.
There's a lot there. So first of all, he said he took an advanced, I can't remember what he called it, advanced test, though, to make sure he still has mental acuity. And from every doctor that's been there's only one, and it's the whole man, woman, TV, whatever the word, and it's a standard one. You can find it online. There's a couple of fill in the blanks. There's circle the elephant. It's kind of standard, and that's the test. There's not an advanced one. Back up before that, though. His MRI was the best results they've ever seen. All the doctors tonight that I've heard from said that there's two answers. It's normal, or oh shit, we have a problem. But there's not a great. This MRI was better than no. It's either normal or there's a problem. That's how an MRI is read. He was normal, best they've ever seen. And then the weird part, they asked him. They said, "Was it on your brain or your heart or what was it?" And he said, "I don't know. I don't know what they were analyzing, but whatever it was great." Bullshit. I can't fathom.
And it's not normally part of a physical.
He said they get it every year, or maybe it's every 2 years, and it's not. It's not. There's something about you that they wanted to take a closer look at. Now, the truth could very well be that there's a lot of times it's ooh, you've got a little growth right here. It's probably nothing, but let's do a biopsy. It could have been something like that, where they were there's a little, or maybe it's his chronic intravenous deficiency syndrome that we know he has, and it could be. But all he has to say
has
is
he admitted to that?
Yeah, they had to come out and say that because the ankles were so obvious that they had to say something. But it's weird because he could have just said, "Oh yeah, there was something they wanted to take a look at. They took a look. It turns out it was nothing." Everybody, especially everybody over the age of 40, gets that. There's there's always a scary time when everybody goes to the doctor and ooh, we need to look a little closer at this, and you have to freak out for a couple days, and then you get a call from the doctor and everything's okay, or maybe it's not okay, whatever. If he would have just said that, that's believable, and we could have said, okay, I wonder what it was, but no, he has no clue what they were looking at, but whatever it was, best they've ever seen. That's
best they've ever seen.
That's where we're at with this. So,
oh my gosh. That motherfucker.
They're never going to tell us what the MRI.
And they just keep saying, "Oh, we're the most transparent administration ever." You're the least transparent administration ever.
They talk to the media more. Trump is the most accessible president we've ever had. Okay, that's true. I see it all the time. Jonathan Karl with ABC, Jake Tapper on a random Saturday, a week or two ago, something happened in the news, and he was like, just for fun, I'm going to text Trump and see if I get a response. And he texted Trump hey, this is happening. Do you have a comment? And Trump ended up calling him or sent him a text and said, call me. And then just was hey, what's going on? And chatted with Jake Tapper for a while. And then Jake Tapper had a story and he had quotes from the president. No, you can't just dial the president. You have to call his people, and maybe they'll set up a time for you to talk if you're lucky. You can just call Trump. You can text him or you can call him and he'll be on the phone with you. Jonathan Karl, same thing happened. So that's true. That's 100% true. But if he's accessible and he'll talk to anybody, but he doesn't answer, or when he does answer, it's not truthful, is that being transparent?
No.
Not at all. So
no, it's like when was it Harvard came out that study not too long ago that said that if all the news that you consume is Fox News, you know less than the people who watch no news at all.
Yeah.
Because it's misinformation. You're actually getting things wrong that other people who don't even pay attention to the news would get right.
I have a short clip for you about Fox News, and I got to admit, I don't know the context. I don't know why they showed their viewers this. A lot of times when I see a clip, I'll kind of look further into it and be like, what were they talking about here? Why did I have no clue why they played this clip? I just think it's shocking that they did this to their audience. So check this out real quick from Fox.
If you had high school or less as your education, 59% voted for Donald Trump. Some college, he held on to the lead with 53%, but then it seems that the more educated you are, the more elite you become, the more you go over to the Democratic column.
Now, they threw in there, the more educated you are, the more elite you become, because elite's a bad word. The coastal elites, like Fox viewers hear the word elite, and that's somebody they don't like. So they tried to tie education to being elite, but I don't understand why they were showing their viewers that, yeah, the less education you have, the more likely you are to vote for Trump. The more education you have, the more likely you are to be a Democrat. I don't know why they would show their viewers that.
So if you're a college dropout, if you're
high school or less or college dropout, you vote for Trump.
You vote for Trump.
If you finish college or have a PhD,
you vote Democrat.
Yeah. If you have a PhD, you're like 93% likely to vote Democrat or something ridiculous. So
61% to vote Democrats.
Why would they show their audience that? I don't get that. Trump, remember
well,
Trump said
the way he said it made it.
He tied it to being elite. The more educated you are, the more elite you become.
To being elite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But remember Trump?
He made it sound like it was bad to have a college degree.
He did. 2 weeks ago, Trump said on camera, he was like, yeah, smart people don't like me. They don't vote for me. Or he said something like that. And it's just like, dude, like, don't say.
Smart people don't like me, you know, and they don't like what we talk about.
What are you saying to your voters at that point? Like, really? Yeah. Anyhow, so I just thought that was funny. Like, good on Fox, I guess.
I don't know.
They actually covered the Epstein emails being released yesterday. They did about 3 minutes on it, and they never once said what the segment or what the content of the emails was. They just said that there were emails released, and here's Trump's response to that. And then they showed a tweet of him going off on Democrats, saying it's a Democratic hoax. But they never.
Might be the same video that I pulled for this.
Oh, let me see what you got.
Yeah, because I was like curious, so I went on YouTube and I was like, what is Fox saying about Epstein?
And his team are questioning the timing of the new Epstein emails that were released earlier today by Democrats. Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy has that part of the story for us tonight. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, John. Officials here are claiming that if congressional Democrats really cared about advocating for Jeffrey Epstein's victims, then we would have heard a lot more from congressional Democrats about Jeffrey Epstein during the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. And instead, we are seeing these big leaks like the one today, selectively, according to the White House, that claims that Donald Trump knew in 2011 about Epstein's crimes.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
The president himself muses the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap.
When Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump.
White House officials would much rather talk about their hope that the House will soon vote to reopen the government.
There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government.
So, a couple different things there. One, she said the Democrats leaked these emails. It wasn't a leak. They released them as part of the committee that's doing all this. They got a new batch of 2,300 and whatever emails. They took about a day and redacted victim information, and then they released them to the public. That was not a leak. And then that was not the same clip I saw, but it was the same exact material. But the one I saw was with Sandra Smith, who's a blonde lady. But then she cut to the reporter at the White House who said the exact same thing, and then they showed the clips. So I think they were doing that like every hour on the hour, or during every show, they would do that little 2 or 3 minutes on Epstein. And like I said, they never covered the content of them whatsoever.
No, they didn't recover any of the content. They're not reporting anything. It's not relevant. and they just moved on past it,
Yep.
like it wasn't anything, right? But the
It's a
thing that I
Democrat hoax,
really,
man.
what?
It's a Democrat hoax.
The thing that I really took out of this was everybody looks AI. Like these guys
Yeah.
look like, I mean, there's just like this guy. Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen here. Yeah, so the guy on the left,
That's John Roberts, buddy. John Roberts been around for a long time.
yeah, he's probably 68, 9, 70. He doesn't have a wrinkle on his face. And then the guy on the right is like super AI looking. Like that whole thing was very
So
he doesn't look real. He's not a normal human being. He might be an alien. So then I went to the net. I like kept watching this and went to the next segment on it. And like, who is this lady?
So hold on, real quick to back up. John Roberts is 69 years old. The guy standing in front of the White House, that is Peter Doocy. His dad is Steve Doocy, who's the guy that wears glasses and is always on the couch on Fox and Friends with Ainsley and I can't remember the other guy's name to save my life right now, but the guy that said that all homeless people should be euthanized, whatever that guy's name is. But yeah, so his dad is Steve Doocy, longtime Fox guy. This is Peter Doocy, the son.
Okay, he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
And then you got this lady. Is she the only?
That's
And then this lady. Like, what? Who the fuck are these people? This guy. What the fuck is going on here?
Pull up a picture.
These are not real people. They don't have a wrinkle on their face.
Hey, just for fun, can you pull up a picture of Trey Gowdy?
Trey Gowdy.
Have you ever seen Trey Gowdy? He has a comic book villain haircut. It's pretty hysterical.
Trey, how do you spell Trey Gowdy? Okay.
Yeah, that's Trey Gowdy. He's got like a comic book. He shaves the sides, but then he shaves it like on the bend, like to like here. And then, yeah, he's an interesting guy. He was in the House of Representatives for a while.
He looks like a total doucher. And did he get a nose job? He's got Ivanka's nose.
He might have. He might have the Mar-a-Lago nose job.
Oh my gosh. Did you see Laura Loomer recently?
Oh, I bet. I hate to say this because I love hating her, but there's so many pictures of her that are photoshopped that make her look like the thing from the movie Saw. So whatever picture you're about to show me, I'll bet it's photoshopped.
Probably was.
Yeah, they do some.
Like, apparently, she went to Israel and got a botched surgery and like.
Yeah, I saw the picture you're talking about, and that was not real.
Her chin hangs down to like here.
Yeah, that was not real. That was AI. They loved it because she has had. So real quick, there's a picture in the middle there of what she used to look like when she was blonde. Go back up a tad. It's in the middle right there. She down just a tad. Yeah, that one's a good one. Go back to just below that. Yeah, that's
this one.
Yeah, that's her before she became a MAGA person versus now. That's not there. Yep, it was coming.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she definitely got a nose job.
Yep.
But I was watching a report on, or listening to a report. I think it was NPR, and they were talking about how the MAGA face, is it MAGA face? Mar-a-Lago face?
Mar-a-Lago face.
Like, so before people were getting plastic surgery and they're like, well, I want a little bit of enhancement, but I don't want it to look like I've had any surgery. Now they're coming into these plastic surgery offices and they're like, I want it to look like I've had so much plastic surgery done. Like they're using it as like a trophy. Like it's like, look how much money I have. I can get all this plastic surgery done.
While you still have your screen shared, type in Matt Gaetz plastic surgery, and it's like Gaetz, I think is how you spell his name. I don't know if you remember, but when he showed up to the Republican convention, it was comical. Like nobody had seen him in a little while. Go to images. There'll be a side-by-side of his face, I guarantee you. Hold on. Okay, so the second picture over on the top left, second picture over.
This one?
Yeah. That's what he looked like on the right when he showed up at the
God.
He looked like Jack Nicholson almost. It was very odd. He was trying to like if you can find a picture of him when he was trying to make no expression, he still looked odd. Nah, that's not a good one. Yeah.
Whoa. Holy shit. This is wild. He does look like
So his
Crazy
face,
Jack Nicholson.
his face went back to normal a couple days after that. And what a family member of mine that's experienced in Botox told me that he had a lot of like fillers put in, and when you do that, your face is like bigger, puffier for a couple days before it like settles back down. And that was their theory, is that he had a lot of like fillers and Botox right before the convention to try to look good, and instead, like I said, a couple days later, he was back to looking like his normal self.
I mean,
That one
as a
right
guy,
there.
doesn't that seem really weird to get fillers in your face?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, anyhow, I've only got a couple other small things real quick. This one's quick. So this is just an example of like the shit posting that our government's doing. This is the official Homeland Security account. There was another little incident at the it's called like the Broadview ICE facility. It's in Chicago, but this is their tweet. Womp womp, cry all you want. These criminal illegal aliens aren't getting released. Like clockwork, violent rioters have arrived at the Broadview ICE facility to demand the release of some of the worst human beings on planet Earth. Get a job, you imbecilic morons.
That's our Department of Homeland Security.
It's constant. It's all the time, and it's every department basically has like a groiper, like a Nick Fuentes fan running their Twitter account. It's like, and they think
it's a troll. It's just you're just trying to troll people. Like that's just not. There's what I want out of my government.
There's a part of the base that I'm sure is loving that. I got to think it's turning off more people than it's inspiring, but.
Our government is supposed to be doing things for the citizens of the United States.
Not this government, buddy.
Trying to piss off half the United States.
Yeah. This government is here to troll. So, also, you were saying something earlier. I want to get back to this real quick. You were saying something earlier about all the people around Trump, and he's going to start firing people at some point, this and that. If you remember back when he started naming who was going to be in his administration, like it was a scary moment for people that wanted normalcy, because it was like, oh shit, like during his first term, he was putting some people around him that had the balls to tell him, like, Mr. President, you can't do that, or Mr. President, this isn't a good idea. And then this time he was sticking all yes men around him, and it was scary because it was like, nobody's going to stop him. He's going to do all this crazy stuff. That's true. That is very true. But also, I think that there is some truth to the MAGA people that are saying that he's getting terrible advice from the people around him. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Because whatever he says, they're all just going, oh, yes, sir, Mr. President. Oh, yep, this is a great idea. The people are going to love this, sir. And he doesn't have anybody around him to tell him, like, sir, the way you're handling the Epstein files is the worst possible way we could do this. Here are a couple other options of how we could go about this, but nobody's got the balls to say that to him right now. And they're all just saying, oh, sir, yes, sir, the Republicans are stupid that are doing this. And didn't that, I think in his tweet, that's what he said. He said these Republicans are stupid or something. Anyhow.
Yeah. If you think, I remember seeing that tweet where he was talking about like how Republicans that were actually asking for the release of the Epstein files or questioning it or whatever.
Yeah, stupid Republicans like Thomas Massie and MTG.
Yeah, so not real Republicans or something like that.
Even though him having these people around him has caused a lot of harm in a lot of different ways, like it's also kind of possibly going to be his downfall. And maybe not like he's going to get impeached, but like, he's going to leave like. His approval rating just hit 36%. I think this is either tied for the lowest he ever was in his first term, or it might be 1 point under. For some reason, I think 37% was his lowest, and I think he's now at 36. Which
I think he can hit 25.
It's going to be hard. So when George W. Bush left office in like 2008, the economy had just collapsed and the housing market just collapsed, and I think he left at 27%, and that was record-breakingly low. Almost immediately, like within a couple of years, he shot back up to like in the 40s. And now somehow George W. Bush has like a pretty good approval rating. But when he left office, he left with the worst approval rating ever of an outgoing president. And I don't know that Trump can ever hit 27 like that. I think George W. Bush is going to hold on to that record forever. So I think if it gets to that point, that's when I don't think this is going to happen, but I think there's a better chance now than there ever has been that the Republicans in the Senate and the House might start looking around and going, hey, we are going to get crushed either in 2026 or 2028, whenever this comes up. And they're going to start looking at the idea of getting Trump out of there and putting JD in. Like I don't think that's going to happen. I just think we're closer to that now than we ever have been. It's still like a 10% chance.
Wow. So for the last it's been over 5 years now. Trump has pretty much just been trying to stay out of jail.
Yeah.
Since January 6, 2020, he's basically done everything in his power to try and stay out of jail. And he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think he had a year or two there where it looked like they weren't going to actually charge him with anything because they didn't actually like get going, like bring in Jack Smith and start real investigations for like a year and a half after January 6th. Okay. So he had a year or two there where it looked like maybe this would all blow over. And
when that court case happened in New York with him and Eugene Carroll?
That was like the Eugene Carroll one, I'm not sure about. The one with Letitia James, the one where he got convicted for like 34 felonies. That one was only like 6 months before the election. Like that. Yeah, that was right before the election. So also, this is another one of those where nothing's going to happen. But the case against him in Georgia that Fani Willis was doing, it turned out she was like sleeping with one of the co-lawyers, and she got kicked off the case. And that I haven't even heard about the Georgia case in forever. There's been a guy who was tasked with the responsibility of picking the new prosecutor to keep this going, and apparently nobody wanted to do it because it was like, hey, we're probably not going to get a conviction. Republicans are going to be threatening our families. Like, no. So this guy who was supposed to pick the person, he's just got to do it himself now. Like, he's going to be the one to do it. And it looks like there was one case where Fani Willis couldn't be the prosecutor because this was like a local elected official that she had crossed paths with. So she had to recuse herself from prosecuting this one person out of like the 20 that were being charged in Georgia. She said, I can't do this one. And this guy was going to step in and do that one. And it looks like he was going to let that guy off the hook. Totally. So there's a good chance this guy that's taking over the case is just going to drop all the charges.
Huh.
So I'm just warning you. You're going to, in the next couple of days, you're going to hear, the Georgia case is coming back alive. Like Trump's in trouble. No, nothing's going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. So
I just looked at political death threats by year.
Who's got the most this year?
More than doubling. Okay. Political death threats have increased significantly in recent years, with the number of threats against members of Congress more than doubling between 2017 and 2024. This is all Trump. I mean, that's what brought to my mind. I was like, death threats have just increased dramatically since Trump's first term.
You're not lying, is all I'll say.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is definitely like a smudge on his record.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is a polarizing and divisive guy. Like he's like the Dallas Cowboys. You either love him or you hate him, and there's very few people that are just like, I don't care either way on Trump. Like it's real hard to not have an opinion on him. You're either a fan or you have TDS, Trump derangement syndrome.
2024, the USCP investigated 9,474 threats against members of Congress and their families, an increase of nearly 1,500 from 2023.
Crazy.
Threats continue to increase in 2025 with a 74% rise in threats against local officials compared to 2022 and doubling of violent events targeting government personnel in the first half of the year compared to 2024.
And the problem is that there's a lot of idiots in our society. Because, like, hear me out on this, but like, if there's I saw Bernie Sanders recently. It was after the Democrats pretty much announced that they were going to cave on the shutdown, but they hadn't done it yet. And Bernie did a video where he was like, "Call your senators, like, urge them not to vote yes on this, blah blah blah." And like, yes, call your senators. Let's do a pressure campaign. Awesome. But like, 1 out of every 10 people is a moron, and they're going to call and be like, "You better not vote for that bill or else I'm going to come find you and your family." And it's like, no, hold on. Like,
I don't know if USCP is going to investigate that, though.
Oh, they do. Like the feds show up at people's door because people, apparently, if you call your local representative, you're going to get a voicemail. You're going to leave a recorded message. That's how it almost always goes.
It was about 50-50 because there was a point in time when I was calling them and I did leave a voicemail. I told you about this.
Okay.
I left a voicemail and I said, "You're going to regret it."
So
to whoever, and then I was like, "Shit!" And what I meant was like, I'm going to vote for somebody else if you know.
You got to be careful because I'm telling you, like, depending on the message, I'm sure that all of them get certain messages where they're like, "Yep, send that to the police," and then somebody's going to come knock on your door, and nothing might ever come of it, but they're going to do it. It's called like a knock and talk or something like that, where they're gonna come and they're gonna interview you, and you might say, "Oh yeah, no, I said he's going to regret it, but that's because I was going to vote for his opponent, or whatever," and then they close the case on that. But they're at least going to come talk to you. A lot of those people. So anyhow.
Crazy.
Political violence sucks. Both sides are bad at it, and it bothers me.
That's not good. Yeah.
The only other thing I have, and this is just interesting more than anything. Remember how there's certain things like RFK when he did like the dead bear in Central Park thing? Like we both kind of had to hand it to him. Like that's kind of funny. Like if he wasn't running for office, I would say that's a pretty funny prank to pull. But like this. I don't know how this makes me feel about RFK. I'm just going to say. First of all, remember that while he was running, I think it was while he was running for president, he was having an affair with a reporter from like New York Magazine. Her name's Olivia Nuzzi, and he's married.
What's her name?
Yeah, so it came out. So much happened during the election. We talked about this, but it came out that he was sexting this reporter. Like this reporter was married to a guy that's also a reporter for the same magazine called Ryan Lizza, and apparently he found the text on her phone, went into like the bosses. She was negatively reporting on Biden while RFK was running against him, while she was having an affair with RFK. She got fired and she's disappeared from the limelight since like I'm going to say October of last year. She's written a book. Her book is not out yet, but excerpts are coming out. Okay, so first of all, here's an excerpt from her book, just to show you.
Olivia Nuzzi loved him. She loved the politician, even though she was a political reporter and he was then a presidential candidate she had written about. She loved his eyes, blue as the flame. She loved that the sight of something as trivial as a rose could move him to tears. She loved his insatiable appetite and his particular. I'm like trying to get sense with it. She loved his insatiable appetites and his particular complications and particular darkness. But she said, "I love you," only after he said it first. He called her Livy and wrote her poems. He said he wanted her to have his baby. He promised to take a bullet for her. This is what Nuzzi writes in her book, American Canto, never naming the politician who readers will deduce is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. What the fuck?
So
what is she trying to do? She's trying to write like a sex novel?
She's trying to get money. If she makes it intriguing, people are going to want to. So that came out 2 days ago. This little review of her book. It's not quite an excerpt, but he told her he loved her. He said he wanted her to have his baby. Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm is his wife, and she has stuck by his side throughout all this. And they basically tried to say it was just a sexting thing. Nothing happened beyond that. It was just sexting, and Cheryl forgave him. Now Olivia is writing this book that apparently makes it seem like it was beyond just sexting. We'll see what happens with Cheryl and Bobby. I don't really know. But the next day, it was the New York Post, I believe, does an expose on RFK Jr. This is where it makes me kind of, I don't know how, I don't want to say I like it. I don't know how I feel. Remember, me and you have talked before about how like the world would probably be a better place if all of our politicians did mushrooms one time. Haven't we had that? We've said that before?
Sure. Yeah, I think that was a Rogan thing.
Yeah, and I think we have agreed with that, okay?
Yeah.
Check this out real quick from the New York Post. All right, RFK 2. Want me to read this or you want to read
it? I got it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. allegedly admitted to smoking a powerful psychedelic that can make people feel like they're having a near-death experience, a new tell-all book claims. The claim is laid bare in former New York Magazine reporter Olivia Nuzzi's memoir, which disses details of the pair's scandalous sexting affair, the New York Times reported on Friday. Nuzzi, 32, alleges in her American Canto memoir, that's such a weird name for a book, that the 71-year-old Kennedy Zion? That's Zion?
I think so.
I don't know. Zion started with a Z. Anyway.
Yeah.
Old Kennedy Zion, who has been sober for decades and is an anti-vax activist, told her during their fling that he still used psychedelics, including dimethyltryptamine or DMT. Okay.
So he's still using DMT, according to her, to this day. I don't know. Like the reaction online was like, "Hey, our Secretary of HHS is doing psychedelics on the regular. Like, what the heck?" But there's also a part of me that's like, like I don't know if that's terrible. Like, I don't know how I feel
Well,
about that.
here's what we were thinking was like if you take mushrooms, if you give like all our politicians mushrooms, they're gonna see the light and they're gonna be like, oh, we need to do better for the American people. But he's obviously not doing that. He's obviously in some sort of dark place,
It appears
taking
that
money to push like fat loss drugs.
It seems like he's doing what's best for his bank account is. And even Callie Means, I think I'm going to get this right. The Callie and Casey Means is the influencers that Casey Means, I think, is the sister, and she is up for Surgeon General. There hasn't been a vote on it yet, but Trump has nominated. She's never been a doctor. She quit med school. She's never been a practicing doctor. She's up for that. Her brother Callie Means, I believe. I'm probably mixing this up. He's a Maha guy. Casey and Callie went on Rogan, and that's where like Maha first started. Anyhow, he spoke like 2 or 3 days ago, and he said flat out that like, yeah, the powerful interests in Washington have basically crushed everything RFK was going to do, and he alluded to like money and this and that, and he said, yeah, it's the corporate lobbyists are too strong, like they're not doing what they said they were going to do. So he didn't flat out say it was a failure, but he was very disappointed in what Maha has actually done. So he's right on that. But anyhow, RFK.
I want to go back to RFK's wife.
Okay.
What's her name? Cheryl Hines.
Cheryl Hines. I love her in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Love her. And then like throughout the election, I was like, at first I was like mad. I was like, like Cheryl, like what the heck? But then like now I've gotten to a point where when I see her, I'm just like, how do you have any self-respect? Like staying with him after all this, after he was cheating on you during the election, like.
Well, okay, she's 60. He's 72.
71.
71. Okay, so that's not too bad. Anyway, where I was going with this was RFK he was a heroin addict for 10 years, a decade.
Yeah, he said he did better in school when he did heroin.
Oh, so this was back in college. Okay.
That's when he started. I don't know how long he did it, but
I think it was a decade, maybe 2 decades. I don't know. Anyway, he was a heroin addict for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
His ex-wife, remember he cheated on her with like 500 different women or something like that?
It was his first wife. They were married when she killed herself. And she, according to people, she killed herself because of all the affairs he was having, that's the story. I don't know how you could ever prove that.
Multiple affairs. And Cheryl, I mean, I'm sure she's like a smart person. I'm sure she looked into this and she knew what she was getting herself into.
I don't get it. So I don't get it at all. But like, there's something about RFK that like young women find irresistible, and like I almost thought it can't possibly be true. But like Olivia Nuzzi, that reporter, is like 31. She's not bad looking at all. She used to be on CNN back in the day. Like she's not bad. And I know women.
He's a Kennedy.
He's got something about. I don't know, but like
all the Kennedys have that X factor, right?
I don't see it. When I hear him talk, I'm like,
yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, I've talked to women like our age and younger who are like, oh yeah, RFK is hot. And I'm just saying, what? The videos of him where he's wearing jeans and no shirt and working out like on the beach in like California. Like, I see that, and to me that's laughable. But then I always remind myself that there are girls watching that going, ooh, baby. Like they're all about it. I don't understand it.
I mean, he's got money. He's got sparkling blue eyes.
He's a Kennedy.
Charismatic, I guess.
Yeah. And now that I know how he talks to women, he told her he wrote her poems. He told her he'd take a bullet for her. He wanted her to have his baby. So like we both had a friend back in the day what we nicknamingly called Morals. You remember who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like he was so good with the girls, but if you ever heard him get up close to a girl and start talking to him, like my response was to be like, oh, like, dude, you're so. Back in the day, we used to call people homosexual.
Yeah. He was just he would.
He was so good. He did well with the ladies, and he would say like shit like I'm gonna write you a poem and I'd take a bullet for you. Stuff that I would never say to a woman, but he would say that kind of stuff to girls, and he did quite well with the ladies. That's the kind of guy that RFK is, apparently.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
the way I look at it. Also, morals apparently was well endowed. I think that also helped.
That helps, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know why we're
that
talking
got
about that.
around. That got around because he did show it off pretty
It
often.
got around because he took it out all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, if I was packing like him, mine would also be on display as often as I could. Way to go.
Way to go, morals.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's all I got for tonight. In
I have one
conclusion,
more thing.
okay, go ahead.
I was just thinking about Venezuela. Like, why doesn't Venezuela just go, "Hey, United States, what do you want? We'll
They
do
have.
what you want.
No,
We surrender. We'll
they've
do
already-
whatever you want."
Maduro offered, he told Trump that he would stop selling oil to China and he would give Trump a piece of the action for all their oil sales. He offered everything he could possibly offer, and Trump was like, nope, no good. And I'm glad you brought up Venezuela because, like, that's happening. Like, it's ramping up right now. And because of all the Epstein stuff, I haven't been paying attention. But I think it was yesterday morning, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he announced, he's like, at President Trump's direction, we have initiated Operation Southern Spear, is what they're calling it. And they're posing it as like a defensive, like we're protecting America. Here's the thing, and I've only been alive for a couple of our American wars, but I remember when we were little, and I think we were in like first grade when we went to Iraq the first time. And originally, that was Operation Desert Shield, is what that was called. And we were shielding, so we were protecting Saudi Arabia, and we did a whole buildup of troops along the border. And really, we were using the cover of Desert Shield to move assets into place. And then once we got everybody there, Desert Shield turned into Desert Storm, and that's when we went in.
So Desert Shield, did we have to get approval from Congress?
I believe we did, and at the time, everybody was well behind. The first Iraq War, everybody was behind, and to this day, like, we did that one right. Props to George H.W. Bush. Saddam Hussein had invaded Kuwait. They were. Oh, and that,
Like he was running that show. He was running that show.
Desert Storm was done right. What they were doing in Kuwait, they were beheading and hanging people, and they were threatening to come into Saudi Arabia next. Like, it was a whole thing. Everybody Congress-wise was behind it. We went in and we made it from the border of Saudi Arabia and Iraq to Baghdad in like 96 hours. And then as soon we got all the way up to Baghdad, and then Saddam surrendered and we left. We went home, and there were people that were like, well, we should have gone all the way and killed Saddam. No, if you do that, now you have to stay there and help rebuild. That's what we did wrong the second time. George W. Bush was like, my dad didn't have the guts to go all the way. I'll show him. I'm going to get Saddam. And then that trapped us there for God knows how, 15, 18 years?
20 years, yeah.
Whatever it was.
2 decades.
So the first Gulf War, but either way, what's happening right now with this like buildup of assets and it's Southern Spear, like, I feel like this is the precursor to, like, suddenly they're going to say, okay, Southern Spear is over, and now we're doing Southern
Storm.
Yeah, something like that. And the carrier that was on its way from the Mediterranean either just got there or is getting there in the next day or two. Also, Maduro is putting out clips of his whole his forces are mobilizing. They have a lot of like anti-aircraft rockets that they've been getting from China, Iran, and Russia. They've got them all set up. Like, they're showing that they're ready. Now, there's no way that Venezuela wins this at all. Like, if we attack them, they're going down. But what's going to happen is it's going to turn into every proxy war in the Cold War. Like, when Russia invaded Afghanistan in like the 1980s, like, we were backing the Mujahideen, who turned out to basically be Al Qaeda later. But like, we weren't giving them enough to really win. We just wanted to drive the Russians mad, spending money and sending more troops in, and like just be a pain in the butt for them. Same thing the Russians did to us in Vietnam. You could go back, I'm sure, through all the different Cold War proxy wars, but that's kind of turned into the game. And like China and Russia and Iran would love to just put up enough resistance to keep us occupied down there and wasting money, time, stockpiles of ammunition, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned the Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda was in the White House recently.
Dude, they had the leader of Syria as former leader of Al Qaeda. There's pictures of him beheading people. Like, just so you know, we still have a $10 million bounty on his head. From that went into place like
what?
Yeah, that went into place like 5 or 7 years ago, something like that. Trump was joking with him. Trump asked him how many wives he had, and everybody thought that was hysterical. Here's the thing. our president needs to meet with the president of Syria. I'm all for that. Pick a different location. You don't have a former Al Qaeda leader at the White House in the Oval Office, and also on Veterans Day. Like
On Veterans Day?
I believe it was. I'm pretty sure.
Holy
it was.
moly! Yeah. Okay.
So bad look. Even Laura Loomer was pissed about that. I will say. So good on her for that. But anyhow, that's all I got. We'll talk more Venezuela next time. But in conclusion, Epstein vote is going to pass the House. But we're never going to see the files because Trump pulled a slick move and started an investigation that's going to last his entire presidency.
Of course.
Okay. The investigation will last a year or two, but then they'll do some charges, and then that never goes straight to trial. There's going to be a year before it goes to trial. They're going to drag this out through his whole presidency.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, yeah,
for sure. Until Trump dies. They'll drag it out until Trump dies.
Yep. You're not seeing it. So, anyhow. Yeah.
Well, is there a chance things start leaking?
No, the girls would have to start coming out and saying stuff. Like, and a lot of them have not come out and put their name on record and shown their face to this point. They would have, that's what would need to happen. And maybe they'll get pissed enough at him doing this that they'll do that. I don't think so. I think this kind of kills the Epstein thing.
Yeah.
So
wow. Okay. And I was just thinking like the Democrats kind of they probably opened the government just to get Rijaldo or whatever her name is.
That was one of the benefits. That's not the reason they did it, but I'm sure that was one of the calculations.
Yeah. Are you still pro what they did?
Yeah, no, I still
the strategic move was right.
Yeah, the more I hear about it, the more I think I am, because like right now, if you just look at the Democrats are in better shape than they were 40 days ago when this started, and the Republicans are in worse shape than they were 40 days ago. So if you just look at who came out better than they were, the Republicans lost. Democrats are in much better shape than they were at the beginning of the shutdown.
Okay. I don't know. After I was like, yeah, you've got some good points. After last time, I was like, you got some good points on this. But then as I immediately watched Jon Stewart, and I was like, fuck Andy. Like,
yeah, Jon Stewart made it compelling. I'm just telling you, if you look at who got through the shutdown and came out in better shape than they were before the shutdown, hands down the Democrats.
But during the shutdown, the Democrats were they had basically the Republicans in a chokehold.
Like I said, the Republicans were never going to agree to what they wanted. There was
but they still had them in a chokehold. The sentiment for the Republicans was down the tubes. Everybody knew it was Republicans' fault. Like, and we had a messaging platform of the Republicans are trying to take away your health care. And I think, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I still think that it was bad for them to actually open the government up again. But
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out in time. But we got to get out of here, man.
All right, man. Peace.
Later.
Sometimes you eat the bar. Sometimes the bar eats you.